So this is the history of the Ark of God. Now, the Ark of God was a wooden box that was covered in gold that was in the tabernacle and was later in the temple. And over it, there were the cherubim. And the cherubim were like winged figures, and the glory of God, or the presence of God, shone between them. Now, the Philistines had taken the Ark of God and they brought it to Ashdod. And they took the Ark of God into the house of Dagon, their idol. And they put the Ark of God beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod got up early the next day, Dagon had fallen on his face to the ground in front of the Ark of Yahweh.
So when they put it there, it was maybe like a little table?
Yeah, I would imagine, yes, it was like on a table. So they took Dagon and set him back in his place. When they got up early the next morning, Dagon had again fallen on his face to the ground before the Ark of Yahweh, and the head of Dagon and the palms of his hands had broken off when they were lying on the threshold.
So how do you think Dagon looked?
Well, I presume that Dagon was in the form of a human, because both
like with his hands up in the air, like.
Yeah, maybe because the palms of his hands were broken off, and his head broke off. Poor Dagon. So
He
was a statue. That's right. Therefore, neither the priests of Dagon nor anyone who comes into Dagon's house will ever tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. But the hand of God was very heavy on the people of Ashdod and those nearby, and he afflicted them with tumors. That's things that started growing out of their bodies.
Like what?
Well, big red sores and ulcers that started growing. They'd have been very painful.
So how big can these things be?
Well, we don't know, because this was a special disease that God sent on these people. When the men of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel must not stay with us, because he has punished us and Dagon our God." Now, you'd have thought they'd have given up worshipping Dagon. But no, they just wanted the Ark of God to get away from them. It's like people might realize that we're teaching them the truth, that there really is God, there really is Jesus. Jesus really died for us, and the kingdom of God is really coming on earth. But when you put that to people, they sometimes run away. They say, "Go away." Like when Jesus cured that madman Legion, the people came out and said to him, "Please go away." Because they don't want the wonder of it all, because it demands everything from us. So you'd have thought they'd have given up worshipping Dagon, but instead they say, "Let's get this Ark of the God of Israel away from us." So they gathered together, the other lords of the Philistines, and said, "What shall we do with the Ark of the God of Israel?" They said, "Let it be taken to Gath," and they carried the Ark of the God of Israel to Gath. That's where Goliath had come from. But after they'd taken it there, the hand of God was against that city, causing panic, and tumors broke out on the men. Yes?
They must be really good at making weapons.
Yeah, they might have been really tall. They might have been giants.
But don't you later read that they send the Ark of Israel back?
Yeah, we're going to read that. So after that, they sent the Ark of God to Ekron. But when the Ark of God came to Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, "They brought the Ark of the God of Israel to us to kill us." They didn't want to have it, and so they decided that they would send away the Ark of the God of Israel to its own place. The Philistines, after 7 months, decided that they should send it back to where it came from. And they had a big get-together with all the priests of their various idols and Dagon. And they said this, "If you send away the Ark of the God of Israel, don't send it empty, but you should send him an offering for your sin, and then you will be healed." They said, "Well, what should we offer him?" And they said, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice, because there were 5 lords of the Philistines.
Why 5 golden tumors.
And it goes on, you must make images of your tumors and your mice that are destroying the land and give glory to the God of Israel. So these tumors, they had to make models of them, and the mice, God was sending mice to destroy all their crops.
They must have, copied other people's tumors.
Well, tumors. Yeah, so they made copies of these tumors, and they thought that that might please the God of Israel. So you see, they're really recognizing that God is the greatest. They decided that they would prepare a new cart and get 2 milk cows which had never been yoked and tie the cows to the cart and take their calves away from them. Now, naturally, the milk cows who had just given birth to their baby calves and were still nursing them, they would naturally want to be together with their babies, with their calves. So they thought that if, therefore, the cows go running in a certain direction away from their little ones, from their calves, that would be a really sure sign. And they decided that they would put the Ark of God on the cart with these jewels and their offerings that they were making in a chest next door to beside the Ark of God. And they decided that they would just watch where these cows ran. And they said, well, if it just runs back to one of our towns, then we'll know that that was just, all these things are just bad luck and there was nothing really in it. But if it runs back to Israel, then we know that for sure this was of God. So the cows started running towards the Israelite town of Beth Shemesh. They ran along the highway, and they didn't turn aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines followed them to the border with Israel. The people of Beth Shemesh, the Israelites, were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they looked up, and they saw the ark coming.
What is reaping in the wheat harvest or something like that?
Yeah, reaping means to cut down your harvest. So you sow your seed, and then it grows up into corn, and then you've got to cut it down.
Like Mummy would maybe plant some tomatoes and beetroots like she does, and then go out and...
Yeah, you would go out and harvest it, but reaping is specifically about grain, about wheat or corn or barley.
No, but I'm really talking about It must be forgetting which way they're going.
Well, the animals didn't forget which way they were going. So anyway, the people of Beth Shemesh were out in the valley harvesting their wheat, cutting it down. And they looked up and saw the ark coming towards them, pulled by these cows. And they were very happy that the ark of their God, the God of Israel, had come back to them. So the people chopped up the wood of the cart, and they killed the cows and offered them for an offering to God. The Levites took down the ark of God and the chest with the jewels of gold and put them on a great stone, and they sacrificed to God that day. When the lords of the Philistines saw this, they went home. So they saw that this really was of God. But God struck down some of the Israelite men of Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark of God. He killed 70 of them, and the people complained. I think what it means is that they had found this box, this chest from the Philistines, all this gold in it, and they thought, wow, that's great. I wonder if we open the other box, that's the ark, maybe there's gold in there as well. And so lots of people died because they wanted to be rich and they didn't respect the holiness of God. And you see that all the time. People want to have wealth and they want to have the good life. And that's why they turn away from God. That's why they turn away. And they don't read the Bible, they don't make an effort to help people, to go to church and this kind of thing. And so they slip away because they loved wealth. And these people were great warning to us. Well, the men of Beth Shemesh said, that's the one who survived, who's able to stand before Yahweh, this holy God? And they sent some messengers to the people who lived in Kiriath Jearim, saying, we've got the ark of Yahweh with us. Can you come down and take it up? Well, the men of Kiriath Jearim came, and they took up the ark, and they put it into the house of Abinadab.
So why did they give it to him?
Well, because they were scared of it, because these men, 70 men, were killed because they'd opened the ark and looked into it thinking they could grab some gold out of it, and they died. So the ark stayed for 20 years in Kirjath Jearim. It was looked after by Eleazar in the house of Abinadab. So he'd have had a lot of faith, but he would have understood that, no, this is wonderful that we've got the ark of God, and I'll look after it. No, I'm not going to steal anything. And he knew that that was the presence of God. Well, Samuel spoke to all of Israel and said, if you were going to return to Yahweh with all your heart, put away the foreign idols from among you, and direct your hearts to God and serve him only, and he will save you. And the Israelites did this because they'd been worshipping Baal and Ashtaroth, and they served Yahweh only. And Samuel gathered the people together to Mizpah, and they fasted, and they said there, we have sinned against Yahweh. So then, I think what you see from that is that God is holy. And although we might think that, oh yeah, God's very good at forgiving, he doesn't mind. The fact that God forgives doesn't mean that he sort of doesn't care or he doesn't mind. And that's why it's very important to really concentrate in prayer, to concentrate when we're reading the Bible, not be fiddling around doing other things. So it's a good idea to close your eyes when you pray and to kneel down when you pray, because we are really coming into the presence of God himself. And God is real and Jesus is real.
Sorry that we started talking over each other.